Welcome to No Flipping Excuses with Jason Lucchese. Jason Lucchese was the guy voted least likely to succeed by his high school peers. Today, Jason's a real estate flipping ninja Jedi Knight assassin who's taken his drive, street smarts, and never give up attitude and converted them into a real estate flipping business and freedom-based lifestyle. After years of being chained to a cubicle in the mortgage business, watching his coworkers go bust, customers go bankrupt, and his hairline go bye-bye, Jason decided to make a change and blaze his trail to the flipping promised land. Each episode, Jason shares real-life real estate case studies, tips on how to find, finance, and flip deals, and mindset tactics he uses every day as a real estate investor, mentor, and leader so you can free yourself from the shackles of corporate America, fire your boss, and live the life you've always dreamed of, right flipping now. Here to share the truth about flipping houses, finding sellers, delivering buyers, real estate investing without the reality show hype, and all-around general business badassery. Your host, Krav Maga enthusiast, husband, and father of three, Jason Lucchese.
Hey there, everyone. Welcome back. It's Jason Lucchese, and welcome to this very awesome edition of the No Flipping Excuses Show. I have a good friend of mine that's going to be joining me here very, very soon. But before I introduce him, I want to go ahead and say thanks to our current subscribers. You guys truly, truly rock. You're leaving us some really great reviews, leaving us some feedback that we can use to make the show even better. And I don't know if that's even possible, but we're definitely going to make sure that we do make it even more better for you. And I know that probably wasn't proper English, but we're going to just go with it. So here's the deal. If you are brand new to the show, you are in for a great treat. I've got a good friend of mine. Make sure after you're done listening to this episode that you leave us a 5-star review if you think we deserved it. And if you really like the show, we've got plenty of other episodes, and we also have episodes released every single week. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. That's going to help you get that first notification of when a brand new episode has been released. So like I said, you're in for a treat. I've got my good friend Rick Williams out of Indianapolis, Indiana. He's with Stellar Homes. And this guy is truly amazing. He's been doing some awesome stuff in the indie market here. I know he's doing some other markets as well. But without further ado, Mr. Rick Williams, how you doing, my friend?
Man, I'm doing phenomenal, Jason. One of my favorite people on the entire planet, man. Top of the afternoon to you, my brother.
Well, thank you. Likewise, you're an awesome dude, and I really appreciate everything that you do. Rick and I met at the Indianapolis Real Estate Investors Association, and we just kind of took off from there. I heard some deals that he was singing out, and I think we'll probably be in for a singing treat here in just a little bit, because Rick's got a phenomenal voice. He's doing some awesome things outside of real estate too, where he is helping out the inner city. He's putting on plays to help cancer victims. And he's doing some phenomenal things outside of it. And those are some of the big whys. And, you really have to have that. Wouldn't you agree, Rick?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you know what, Jason? I really do have good deals. I really got good deals, man. But I have those good deals because I have large whys, my friend. Comparably to some of the reasons why you have such a drive. That's why we're such good friends, man. Really glad to be on the show today, man. Let's rock and roll.
Absolutely, Rick. So let's talk about that. What do you think having, any type of a business, anything that it may be, do you think the whys are important? What was it that sparked it for you to really be like, you know what, man, I really need to make this happen. I need to be successful at this. What was that for you? What was the turning point?
Yeah, I've always been driven. I've been driven since I was a little boy because I grew up on the rough streets of Chicago, and you didn't have a choice but to be driven. Mm-hmm. And to have some type of ambition, and he had to be somebody that can go against the grain, go against the crowd, because my crowd, a lot of them are dead. A lot of my crowd, a lot of the young people I grew up with are either in jail or locked up, or I got shot or got killed. And so you had to have something inside of you that made you want to go against what most of the people around you were doing. That's pretty much been my life story. Mm-hmm. So I've always wanted to do something to help people and not to, well, I shouldn't say that because when I grew up hustling, I was definitely not trying to help people. I was trying to help myself,
Sure.
but, uh, but the Lord taught me better. So my attitude now is I'm really driven to help people. And I know that if you're going to help people, you need to have some resources to be able to do that with. And so when I first started doing these stage productions to help stop the violence in Indianapolis and Chicago and abroad, and then started concentrating on people dealing with cancer. Yeah, as you know, with your little brother, or your brother, I shouldn't say your little brother, but your brother succumbing to cancer, and my sister, my little sister succumbing to it some years back. It really drove me to say, you know what, I'm gonna do whatever I got to do to be able to make enough money to be able to do stage productions that help people that are sick. And I don't want to ever have to ask anybody for anything. If anybody wants to help me, that'll just be a bonus. But I want to be able to fund it all myself. So when I get up, whenever I think about not getting out of bed, I can hear Tisha's voice real gently, moving me on, telling me, you know, you need to get up and get it going, brother. And she was a gentle person. She didn't have to say anything loud, but her voice spoke with volume, even though it was a soft, sweet voice. It spoke with volume because she was able to stare cancer in the face like that and be able to have such a good attitude all the way to the end, knowing that she was going to heaven anyway. So
Yeah.
I just she's my number one inspiration when I think about moving forward and letting nothing get in my way.
No, that's absolutely true. So many of us take what we have for granted until it's, our time to go. And I think, with the stuff that we're doing with the No Flipping Excuses and the Dustin Shilcox Foundation, where we're really trying to make a difference for those that are in wheelchairs and really trying to make homes more accessible to them, because right now it's like less than 1% of the market, they say they're wheelchair accessible homes, but it's just, they're not really wheelchair accessible homes. So it's a phenomenal thing to have your why. Once you have your why, your purpose, it just, completely changes everything. And, you bring up a really good point, Rick, with, being a youth and seeing a lot of the things that happen. I didn't have that happen. I know, going to the school that I went to, the suburbs of Chicago, Elgin, I know, you either could have went down like a really bad route, or you could have stayed in Elgin and did the things that you want to do. It's no knock on Elgin, but a lot of the people that, I did go to high school with, they just really haven't done a whole lot with themselves. They just fell in the routine of, hey, we're going to, go to bars all the time and drink and, do all this stuff. And here we are like in our mid 30s and they're, still pulling the Fonzie. It just, it doesn't work anymore, especially if you want to live that abundant style life. And it doesn't make sense. So what was it about you? And I know, Rick, but I want people to know, like, what was it about you that decided to break that mold and really get out of the hardship that a lot of young youth in the inner city of Chicago face when it comes to violence, gangs, all that type of stuff? What made you to kind of get out of that?
Well, I had a brother, older brother who, you kind of are the product of your environment. And most people are followers and not leaders. And so even if you're an aggressive person, you still have a tendency to follow somebody. So I had brothers in my house who were hustlers, and they taught me how to hustle, street hustle, that is. And then I had one brother who started seeking the Lord. And at first I thought he was crazy. I thought he was in a cult or something, because he started telling me you can only have one woman. And I was like, hey, man, what's wrong with you? With all these women out here, we have to do overtime. Are you serious, man? And he was like, no, man, you got to get married, Rick. I'm like, married? That is the squarest, corniest, and Mayberry stuff I've ever heard of in my life. Who in the world got time for that? But I watched him for about 3 or 4 years, and he was so sincere. And then I saw, well, this guy really got, he really loved the Lord, So I was like, man, so he took a thug like me and impressed me so much until I was like, you know what, man, whatever's got you walking like that and living like that, where you can help people instead of hurting folks, and where you can be an asset instead of a liability, count me in. So he just had an influence on me. My brother named Jerome, who still a businessman in Chicago to this day.
Oh, that's awesome. No,
so
that's
he was my major influence. So that started me to want to just start helping. Then I realized that helping people was so much more gratifying than taking from people, and that blessing people was so much more fulfilling than what you can get out of just personal gain. So that's what I found to be the case, and that's why I'm totally driven to help people. That's all my motivation for waking up every day.
No, that's awesome, Rick. And so what made you decide to go down the real estate investing path? Like how did you discover that?
Well, I found out that the best sense in the world is common sense. And people have all these degrees and all this book knowledge, intellectual, but very few people really practice common sense. And it's just common sense that people have to have some place to live. So I wanted to make sure that whatever I'm doing with my time, that I can make the most out of my time, because I've always hustled hard, so it didn't really matter what it was about. And what I found out in life is that you can always transfer work ethic, no matter what you transfer it to. You can but you can't transfer lazy. So I've never been lazy, and I never felt entitled, like somebody owed me something. So real estate was good, because I was like, I can control my destiny if I deal with real estate, because I can do as many deals as I want, especially if I can learn systems, some of which I've learned from you, and been able to even train other people with some of the systems that I've learned from you. And then I found out that you could be making money while you sleep, because the property can be paying you every month, or you can have deals that are going on perpetually because of the systems that you put in place. And then that'll open up your time to be able to do other things that's more important than making money. So that's why I looked at real estate as an avenue to be able to have some incredible freedom. And my own wife just was able to become free earlier this year because of some transactions that we've been able to do. And now I have the pleasure of having that beautiful, tall drink of coffee in the room early in the morning. She ain't got to get up, man, and run out, man. She don't get up until we say get up. In fact, that's our issue now. It's kind of hard to get out of bed in the morning. So pray for us, bro.
Yeah, I will do that, my friend. I will do that. I'll start doing that as soon as we're done with the show.
Appreciate you.
Absolutely. So what we're going to do coming up here in just a little short while is we're going to be talking to Rick about deals, how to find the deals, what's working for Rick from a marketing standpoint, how's he structuring these deals, and what he just said, making money while you sleep. So stay tuned. We're going to be going into a bunch of great content here with Mr. Rick Williams, the preacher, the singer, the myth, the legend, Mr. Rick. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Have you been struggling to close your first real estate deal? I hear this all the time, and you're not the only person in the not having closed your first deal boat. I was there, and the feeling is horrible. I can tell you on page 103 of my book, Right Flipping Now, I address how you can easily overcome closing your first deal quickly and easily without using any of your own money or credit. My first deal closed when I was on vacation. I made $26,000. You can do the same thing. Grab a copy of my book at getmyflippingbook.com and you can get your first deal closed for massive profits. I have copies of my book available at getmyflippingbook.com, and you can have a step-by-step plan for making profits on your first deal, closing within the next 30 to 60 days. Go to getmyflippingbook.com. That's getmyflippingbook.com. www.getmyflippingbook.com. Hey there, it's Jason Lucchese, and welcome back to the No Flipping Excuses show. I am accompanied by my good friend, Mr. Rick Williams with Stellar Homes out of Indianapolis, Indiana. This guy's doing some amazing things. We just covered, the why. And why is the why so important? It's really what sets you apart from the other individual that may have, just saw a late infomercial and he was just like, oh, I'm going to really go and make this happen. Most people have really good intentions when they get started with something, but if you don't have that why, your foundation is never really clear on what to move forward with. Meaning, if I start building up my empire, is it going to collapse on the second floor? More than likely it will if you don't have your why. If you don't have that passion set forth, it's going to fall. And that's what we just discussed. And now we're going to move into deals with Rick. Rick's doing some amazing things. I know at one of our last INRIA meetings, which is our Indiana Real Estate Investor Association meetings. And if you don't do RIA meetings, I highly recommend them. You meet people like Rick there. Rick has deals all the time. He's always pitching deals, and the guy's just always hustling with deals. He's always doing stuff. So Rick, let's kind of talk a little bit about your business. Like, what does it look like right now? Like, are you mainly doing wholesaling, or what? Give us a quick run through of what your business looks like.
Yeah, I'm a wholesaler, and I'm a wholesaler because I don't care for wasting time. To me, time is money. So
Sure.
I'd rather buy something and sell it in a week as opposed to taking 6 months to fix it. So that's just my thing. So if you're around the country and you need some good property that you can fix, I gladly sell it to you.
No, that's great. And you're expanding, right? I know last time you and I spoke, I know you're doing Indiana and you were doing a little bit of Chicago. Are you doing any other markets?
Yes, Chicago, Ohio, Florida, Alabama.
Okay.
What I did was I took what you taught me about funnels, and particularly LinkedIn funnels. I took what you taught me, and I started training it to my students because I train students on mindset, on how to manage your week, and also on how to find and execute deals. So because of that, I've been able to duplicate myself around the country, and so we have people that are sending us deals. When I left your last class, it was so crystal clear to me that you better start at least using LinkedIn as a funnel. For people who don't understand what a funnel is, it's just simply a way of getting people to come to you as opposed to you soliciting people. And that's really the way I prefer to live. I prefer to live by just dealing with the people that I'd like to deal with and discarding the deals that I don't want to be bothered with, and not wasting time, because I got time. I need to be spending my time very fruitfully every week, and I'm very conscious of time. So
Absolutely.
those LinkedIn systems that you taught me, I've been body slamming it, and we're doing business clear across the country now because of that.
No, that's awesome. And let me ask you this, Rick. I know you've really been utilizing the LinkedIn strategies that we teach. What would you say is like one of the big key takeaways that has really kind of helped you in your business? I know you told me some stuff not too long ago that I was just like, wow, that's that's pretty remarkable with what you're doing. What would you say is like one key that you would say, that others should definitely be doing right now?
Oh yeah, when you send out an invitation on LinkedIn, you got to send out an invitation with a note that says who you are and what it is that you're doing, so that people will know who you really are, as opposed to just accepting. We have a mindset, unfortunately, that when we meet people, we're just so glad to meet somebody. But when I wake up in the morning, I'm already glad to be alive. I'm already glad to have some energy. So when I meet people, if the person can put cheese on a Whopper, I'm happy to meet you. But if you ain't really got nothing going on, man, I'm not just happy to socialize with a person just because they exist. Now, I don't mean that arrogantly, but what I mean is that people need to bring up their value, your self-value. And when your self-value goes up, then you'll start wanting to deal with people who are doing something worthwhile. So when you send out your message to somebody on LinkedIn, it should say something like who it is that you're doing, and perhaps this can be a mutually beneficial relationship. And then that way people will start telling you what it is that they're doing and what's going on, and they'll start sending you deals, and start letting you know if they're looking for deals too. And then that way you have somebody that you can perpetually stay in touch with, and you can meet all these people right online without leaving your living room. It is absolutely spectacular.
No, I know you've been utilizing it quite a bit. And the one thing I will tell folks is do an experiment on LinkedIn. Do like 10 messages without adding the note and 10 messages with adding the note. And we typically like to personalize the notes, and that's what I teach is, personalize it to that person. Take a second, look at their profile on LinkedIn, and then really, you could gather some great information that you could share when you're sending that invitation to connect. And I guarantee you'll probably see with adding the note, you'll probably see a 70 to 80% connection ratio versus maybe like a 30 to 40% without adding the note. So it just goes the extra mile. And like Rick said, you could let them know how the relationship will be mutual of a benefit to the both of you. So that's pretty tremendous right there. That's something that I highly recommend. LinkedIn's like one of the most undervalued platforms out there. Because I know, Rick, when we started, when you came to one of our investor boardrooms and we started discussing it, was LinkedIn something that was a little bit newer to you that you haven't used?
Man, I was Fred Flintstone when it came down to the technology, Jason. All right. I've been making it off of personality and a whole lot of confidence and doing real good doing that. But when you taught me about, I was like, man, when I came into your class, I was like, yabba, dabba, do. All right, man. I was old. I was sleep. I wasn't asleep, Jason. I wasn't snoring. I was in a coma, man. When it came down to something as simple as LinkedIn, I mean, you really opened up my eyes, man. So for everybody out there in La La Land who doesn't understand that you have to be able to connect with people, I mean, with hundreds, thousands of people without even having to leave your house just by having some notes sent out. Now I'm hiring people to do the stuff for me. They just send out my notes for me because I got it like that now, Jay. Thanks
right.
a lot, buddy. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
No, that's great. That's great. I knew when you came to the investor boardroom and you came to the Right Flipping Now Summit, I think everything for you came full circle. You were already doing some awesome stuff from when you attended the investor boardroom. And then when you came to the Right Flipping Now Summit, you saw some additional things that definitely helped your business out quite a bit. So I'm really happy to see where things are going. So let's talk about a recent deal that you've done. Like, it doesn't have to be anything like crazy, but let's maybe talk about a deal that you've done within the last 30, 60 days. Do you have a particular deal you want to discuss?
Yeah, well, my very last deal I did was I sold a church. I bought a church with no money, of course, and sold it. But that happened. That wasn't even through my LinkedIn contacts or through my internet contacts. That was just, I practice something every week that I call the Genesis effect. And the Genesis effect is simply this. The Lord asked us, when was I hungry and you fed me? And when was I naked and you clothed me? Or when was I in prison and you visited me? Say, when you did these things to the least of my friends, you did it to me. So I literally believe in doing that every week and trying to reach out to somebody. So I was taking a family grocery shopping, and there was a guy sitting in front of the grocery store, and he was selling little colognes. And I asked the guy, so I gave the guy a card, and he wouldn't take my card. I said, "Is it a problem?" I said, "Yes." I said, "I buy homes and I pay cash for them." He said, "Yeah, the problem is I need you to buy my place." I said, "Oh, is that so?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "What kind of place do you have?" He said, "I have a church." So I said, "Okay." I said, "Cool. So let me go check it out." So I went the next day and saw it and wrote him a contract and bought it from him. And we closed on it a week or so ago. And but my point was that I was just out trying to help somebody, and wasn't looking for nothing in return. But you just walk into these kind of situations all the time. So what I really want to say is that don't be stingy if you want to have something happen to you that you can't take credit for. Because I don't take credit for that sort of thing. That was just a byproduct of being generous and just the grace of God. So I want to really emphasize that to the people that I talk to. So I just want to back up too and say one thing too, Jay.
Sure, buddy.
And that's that people think they learn stuff, but you only learn what you do. So the first time I went to your course, I heard what you were saying. I just go back to this LinkedIn thing. I heard because there was a lot of things that I got out that I'm doing now that I wasn't doing before. And then I heard it, but it didn't really register. Unfortunately for most of us, we hear things, but it doesn't register. We just go right back to our bad habits. Right. So the second time it registered. So I just started trying just to do some of the things that you was talking about. And then when I found out that it's not so hard once you start getting engaged in it, it's not as hard as it appeared to be while you was just listening to a person talk. So I just want to say to everybody, you don't really learn nothing that you haven't done. You just learned about it. And if you really want to do this real estate game, just get on out and do what it is that somebody trains you to do, and stop talking about it and start walking it out. And then you'll start seeing it's coming to fruition, just like what the person who was instructing you said, because this is not like college where the person teaching you make $50,000 who's trying to teach you how to get rich. We're talking to people that's already rich who's trying to teach you how to get rich. So you need to listen to the cat that's rich, that's trying to teach you how to get rich, because he's telling you exactly what he's doing. And then, so it makes sense to follow him as it does. It's amazing how we'll follow the college instructor who, like I said, can't put cheese on a Whopper, can't bust a grape in a tractor. You hear what I'm saying? And then we'll follow this cat. And
No, exactly.
he ain't going. He ain't even got no money. So how in the world is going to tell us how to make some real money? And I need real money for the things that I need to do. I don't need no few. I need millions of dollars to do the things that's important to me. So I just wanted to backtrack a little bit and say that. But as far as my last deal, it was about a church that I got based on just being generous, and God just blessed me.
No, that's great. That's great, Rick. And what we're going to do is we're going to discuss the church here in just a little bit. We're also going to discuss how Rick is finding deals on LinkedIn and also doing some things offline too. Rick is an amazing networker, and I want him to share some of the things that he does in order to get deals from just random strangers that he develops great relationships with. So we're going to get you out of your comfort zone here, because I will tell you this: you need to become comfortable being uncomfortable.
You better preach, Jay. You better preach, brother. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you.
If you're not there, you definitely will need to be, especially if you want to take your business and yourself to the next level. You're going to want to stay tuned, because Rick and I are going to be covering that. So stay in your seat. We will be right back. I hear from real estate investors how much of a challenge it is finding motivated sellers. This is happening all over the country. Real estate investors not knowing where their next deal will come from. I can tell you on page 141 of my book, Right Flipping Now, I address how you can easily find deeply discounted off-market deals. The 98% of investors out there don't have a clue about this. You can easily duplicate this process within your own business today. Grab a copy of my book now at getmyflippingbook.com, and you can start finding deals for 50, 40, and 30 cents on the dollar without any competition. I have copies of my book available right now at getmyflippingbook.com, and you can have a step-by-step plan for making profits within the next 30 to 60 days. Go to getmyflippingbook.com. That's getmyflippingbook.com. It's www.getmyflippingbook.com. Hey there, it's Jason Lucchese, and welcome back to the No Flipping Excuses show. I am joined with my good friend, Mr. Rick Williams with Stellar Homes, and he's here from my home area, Indianapolis, Indiana. We've been discussing some awesome things, Rick's why, how he's finding deals, some of the LinkedIn strategies he's using. We've just discussed how he was able to get a church under contract just by handing somebody a card. And we're going to discuss the church here a little bit more. So, Rick, let's talk about this church deal, man. So you went and looked at it, got it under contract same day, didn't use any of your own money. Take us through this deal. Like, what were you looking for when you went and looked at this deal?
I just wanted to see what the place looked like, so I can have some idea how much I wanted to sell it for, and how much I wanted to make an offer for. So when I came back and talked to the guy, he said, I said, how much you want for it? He said, I was thinking about 50,000. I was saying, oh, I'm thinking about 20. He said, how about 30? I said, you got a deal.
No, I'm just curious, because I don't think I've done a church deal before. How were you able to comp it out? How did you get a value determined off of a church? Because obviously there's probably not, like, compared to like single family homes, you could get values for those pretty quickly, but churches aren't, quite available like single family residents are. So I'm curious, like, how did you determine the value on the church?
Well, I didn't determine a value based on like comping it out. I just use common sense. If somebody wants a church and they want to get a church for less than $100,000 because they want to move in a congregation, then how many places did they have available like that? So that was my first strategy. Okay. However, after me sending it around, and first thing I did was went through the church and I took videos of it, and then I put them into a funnel, and started having that go out on a consistent basis to all of the people that were on LinkedIn. And I got hundreds and hundreds of views for people looking at it that way. Yeah. But I ended up selling the church to the guy who owned the property right next to it.
Oh, wow.
That's what I ended up selling it to.
So
So I had to bring the price down some because his sentimental value wasn't like that of buying a church because he wanted a church. He wanted to use it for an office.
Oh, okay.
So that's how it ended up being sold. But the bottom line is that all of this, we're in the marketing business. We're not in the real estate business. We're in the marketing business. And proof of it is that I sold the church to the guy right next to, who owned the land right next to the place, because it just never dawned on the person who owned the building.
Yeah, no, exactly. Exactly. So you were able to pick it up for 30 and you sold it to the person next door. What was the end price that you sold it for?
Yeah, I ended up going back to the guy and telling him I need you to go down on your price because people are not going for 60, 70,000 and all of that. So I ended up selling it to him for 37,000, but I got the guy to go down on his price down to 25.
Oh,
So
nice.
I had to settle for the sultry $12,000 at the closing, man.
And how long did that deal take you from start to finish?
It took a couple of months because I was trying to get 75,000. I could have got 37,000 in a few days.
No, I know. Like, I hear you. I hear you for sure. So, like, how much time do you think you actually devoted to making the 12 grand?
A few hours.
Few hours for 12 grand. That's awesome. So you and I don't know. I'm assuming because I don't have a college degree. I don't even think I stepped into college and enrolled or anything like that. Is that the same for you?
No, I got a college degree from Ivy Tech.
Oh,
But
okay.
you got to understand, I got a GED in the penitentiary. Okay, I got a college degree from Ivy Tech because I just wanted something to do, to say that I finally did something square and what we call from the streets at least square and corny and kind of Mayberry-ish. So I had some fun going to school for a little while. But to be honest with you, they didn't teach me nothing in college I ain't already know. And as far as just common sense and drive and all that sort of a thing. So I learned a few X's and O's, but I ended up starting my own companies anyway. Really, it's so for me, if a person is an entrepreneur, college just about basically is a waste of time. It just like holds up some time that you could have been doing, closing some deals, making some money, and getting control of your own destiny and stuff. So I highly do not recommend that if you got an entrepreneur's type of temperament. Just go for
Yeah.
whatever you want to go for and stop wasting time.
Yeah, it's kind of expensive going to college if you're just trying to find yourself. It could become pretty costly. And I was bringing up me not having the education. And for those that do have it, awesome. Everybody's different, but I was bringing that up because Rick's hourly wage on that deal was probably about the same as like a brain surgeon. So Rick's up there in that upper echelon when it comes to that. And I know Rick's doing amazing deals like that. Him and his wife are doing some awesome deals. Now, outside of that particular deal, Rick, and outside of the LinkedIn, you're known for you're known as like Mr. Networker. You're not afraid to go and talk to people and just start, plugging away a conversation with them. What would you say to somebody that, needs to they need to get comfortable being uncomfortable? Because let's face it, you can do a lot of stuff online, but you definitely need to be doing some stuff offline as well. What advice do you have to people that have a tough time talking to people like face to face?
Yeah, I think what a person needs to do is we need to create value. When you create value and you're a valuable person, then you don't have any problem letting the next person know that they need to be in touch with you and that they need you, not that you need them. Because when you take on the subordinate position in conversations with people, or as they say in the book, pitch anything, if you take on the beta position as opposed to the alpha position,
Yeah.
then you give people the right to dismiss you. But if you already think enough of yourself, and again, I'm not talking about arrogance, but I'm talking about because you put in your work, because your work ethic is good, and because you have things that people need, then you need to be able to convey to them the fact that they need you. I don't care who they are, because it ain't nobody on earth that's more important than you. All right, because I really love me. I wish I had two me so I can kiss myself in the morning. All right, that's how much I love. That's how much I love me. Wait a minute, let me take a kiss right now. I'm kissing both my wrists, Jake. That's how much I love brother Rick. All right, but because I love Ricky, I love you too, Jason.
That's
You follow
right.
me?
Nothing
So
but love here for you, buddy.
yeah, no doubt. So I tell you all the time when I see you, because I don't know if it's going to be the next time I ain't guaranteed to be around. I'm not God. So I try to make sure that I let you know emphatically how important you are. And I let other people know how important you are too. In other words, I'm not a hater. There's a process called mithridization. Mithridization is the gradual taking of poison until you become immune to it. And just to break it down, it's really called haterade. All right. so what happens with you is when you've been drinking haterade, it's real hard for you to get the next person their props and for you to get the next person what they got coming because you think so little of the next person, but who you really think little of is yourself.
Yeah.
And because you think little of yourself, you don't know how to approach people and make them feel better about themselves than they did before you came up because you just ain't got no juice.
Yeah.
So that means that you need to take the time to work on yourself, okay? To read books, to study, to listen to CDs. I read the Bible a lot every day, and I even recite entire chapters in my head. I even learn entire chapters. I'm working on a 176 Psalm, 119th Psalm now that's got 176 verses, and I will memorize all of them because those things make me subliminally the kind of person that don't need your validation. So when you don't need a person's validation, then they know that their opinion don't mean nothing to you. They stop giving it if it's negative. You follow what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
so,
absolutely.
So when you're armed like that, because this is a mental war, when you wake up in the morning and you're being intimidated in your own head about talking to people and talking yourself out of deals before they even start, talking yourself out of good relationships before they even start, telling yourself all that negative news and all of that. And then by the time you have an opportunity to get together with someone, you've already surmised that they don't want to have nothing to do with you. Yeah. And because of that, even when a person gets up just to say they have a deal, you can hear the person's voice shaking because we are scared to death of human beings, But my mission, one of my main missions in life, that's why I train people in theater and on stage, is so you can look another human being in the eye and tell it like a TIS is, and they can take it or leave it. If they like it, cool. If they don't like it, that's cool, because you don't need that validation. Just make sure that you got some value, and you can make yourself valuable through sitting down and studying. And most people watching TV and wasting their time anyway. So if you could just read something real good, learn it, and then turn around and teach the guy next to you because he refused to read it. And you can be in really good shape just off of that alone. So, yeah, I'd highly recommend that a person build up their own self-esteem through whatever means you need to do that. I recommend the Bible. I recommend reading really good books. And I recommend going out and paying and get trained and learning from people like yourself. That stuff is invaluable. When you leave out of those meetings, man, please, you ready to rock and roll. You ready to do something, man. You ready to make something happen. You feel me?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, Rick. And real quick here, what would you say, like, for somebody that is coming up, approaching you, what would you say is a good, like, elevator pitch? You've got like 10 seconds to get somebody's attention. What would you say to them? I know you're the singer, but let's say they're not blessed with your vocal cords. What are you gonna say to the person? You've got 10 seconds, and this person's a big cash buyer, and they're looking for properties.
I'd say, good afternoon. My name is Rick, man. Pleasure to meet you. What's your name? Oh, Jason, it's a pleasure to meet you, man. Are you in the buying game? You are great. Give me your card, man. Let's stay in touch. I got plenty of property. You need to hear from me.
There we go. That's good. That's perfect. That's a prime example that you can be using right now as a quick elevator pitch just to get somebody's attention. And we're going to hop into that. Here are some places where you can use the elevator pitch, and some additional spots that Rick has from a networking standpoint, some different places that you can go to. We need to get out of, constantly watching TV. And don't get me wrong, I watch my shows, but I'm not on TV all the time. Either read a book, go to networking meetings. We're going to hop into some really amazing things that you can be doing right now in your own community. So stay tuned. We're going to be hopping into some amazing content here. So I will talk to you in just a second.
Are you facing a roadblock with getting started in real estate? This is an obstacle a lot of brand new investors face. Building a rock solid foundation is key to building your investing empire. I can tell you on page 95 of my book, Right Flipping Now, I address how you can build a lasting foundation that won't topple over when you're on the third floor. Do not avoid laying the proper foundation for your business. I've made this drop dead simple for you to just rip off and use within your own real estate investing business. Grab a copy of my book now at getmyflippingbook.com and you can have the confidence you need to find and flip deals consistently month after month. I have copies of my book available at getmyflippingbook.com, and you can have a step-by-step proven plan for making profits on your very first deal, or maybe that second deal, closing within the next 30 to 60 days. Go to getmyflippingbook.com. Getmyflippingbook.com.
Hey there, it's Jason Lucchese, and welcome back to the No Flipping Excuses show. We've been discussing some awesome stuff here, from networking to LinkedIn to flipping churches. We've got my good friend with me, Rick Williams with Stellar Homes out of Indianapolis, Indiana. Such an amazing person. We talked about his why. We discussed a lot of main things that a lot of folks really need to be doing right now in order to really achieving the type of results they want to see in their business. The results that you desire are right there. You just have to go and get it. And Rick is definitely a type of person that is doing exactly that. So Rick, we ended that last part there with discussing the elevator pitch, and you went really quick over a 10-second part there. Where are some areas that you would recommend that some folks could go to, maybe like areas to actually give that elevator pitch? I know we discussed the real estate investor associations. Do you have any other ones that you would recommend?
Sure. Your neighborhood, for example, here in Indianapolis, you have the East Side Business Association, where they network, where they have a lunch once a month, and you can come up and talk about your company, business, whatever it is that you're doing. So look for the business associations in your areas, whether they're right close to you, or even if they're a little bit of ways, even if you have to travel a little ways to go, because it's not so much whether people are close to you or not. It's just a practice of making sure that you get up and do the opposite of your emotion.
Yep.
Even after all these years of marketing stuff, and I've been marketing since I was 3 years old, Jay, because I had a song I used to sing on the corner, said, "Mrs. Brown, you have a very lovely daughter." And when I started blowing this cut, man, they was giving me nickels back when I was there. A nickel, hey Jay, a nickel was a long way, and now I'm 55, man. So a nickel is 60. Let me see, I was 3 years old, so yeah. So back in 65, man, a nickel, man, come on, you get it, yeah, penny candy and everything back in the day, man. So I've been approaching people since I was a little nervous, but the reward of that nickel was so compelling.
Yep.
Until I said, you know what, man, I'm going to go ahead on and learn me a couple of more songs. So I had a commercial I used to sing called 100 miles, 100 miles, I can see 100 miles. It was a Windex commercial, right? But nice. I couldn't say miles. So I used to say 100 miles, 100 miles. Models. I just made up a word, models, right? It wasn't a word. But the people thought it was so cute until they tipped me an extra nickel for that one. So I did that song as often as I could. Now, did I feel like doing that all the time? Nope. Was I a little nervous at first? Yeah. But after you start doing stuff so much, it just becomes perpetual. And then after a while, you don't even think about it. So what I want to say is that do the opposite of what you're feeling. Do the opposite of your emotion and all of that, because it'll make you rich. You won't have to live. If you want to live mundane and be mired in mediocrity, avail yourself to apathy, or live on Average Boulevard and next to Mr. and Mrs. Settles, where everybody is doing the exact same thing and you're living by the status quo, then just do what you emotionally feel like doing, and you will be a slave for the rest of your life. But if you turn around and say, you know what, I'm going to approach this person, approach that person, even though this feeling in my pit is making me a little nervous, and I might get rejected, I might get played off. I was calling some probate people because I love these homes. We haven't even talked about probate, but I know you even got a course out on that I highly recommend for everybody, because that's most of these houses that I get, I inherited. That's why I make big spreads, like that home, like that church was inherited. And but when I get ready to call the people, I still get this little feeling in my pit before I get ready to make the phone call that somebody's gonna, snap and don't want to hear what I got to say, because it's just human nature. Nobody wants to be rejected. But I found that rejection is extremely profitable, because most people don't want it. So that puts me in a category with just a handful of people. So that's my motivation. I'm knowing that I'm doing this, and the next cat is not doing it because he's scared. He's scared. He didn't want to be. He doesn't want anybody to say anything to him. But I'm like, why such thin skin? So I'll give you an example. I just made some calls just last week, and with some probate people, inherited some places, and so I talked to one person, and they said, no, I don't really need your service. Talk to somebody else. They said, no, we didn't even inherit a place. We are in probate, but we didn't inherit a place. And then I talked to one guy, and he said, why don't you just effing not call me any effing more? I said, okay. So he cursed me out, right? So I instead of even thinking about it, now of course that thing went through me a little bit. This dude cursed me out. But without even thinking about it, I just whooped right back to the next call. The very next person was like, "Yeah, can you tell me a little bit more about you, Rick?"
Oh, nice.
I said, well, so I started telling about my life, what I do, da 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 da. They said, "Yeah, I'm gonna need you, man. This might be a little bit of a process. It's gonna take a little while." And then so that was a good connection. Then I called the very next person. She lives out of town, so she really don't want to be bothered with this house. The best case scenarios when a person inherits a home and they live in a whole nother state. What an incredible situation to be in.
Oh, yeah.
And so we talked for a little while, and so you have to follow up on the people, call them back maybe a couple of times. But when the smoke clears, like you said, you might spend 6 hours dealing with a person maybe to make 50, 60, 70, $100,000 or something, or even if it was just $10,000, whatever the case may be. But that's what I think about. I think about the fact that I can do what I want to do. Like the hidden benefits this year. I took my wife out for her birthday to New York for last December. And then we went to Las Vegas for my birthday.
Oh, nice.
In February. Then I went to my sister's funeral in Phoenix. Now you say, why would you talk about that? Because most people can't leave to go out of town to their relative's funeral.
Yeah, that's true.
They own flesh and blood pass away, and they just got to send them a card. I mean, what kind of mess is that? Because you can't go because you're tied down. You're tied, and you don't have either you're tied down or you don't have no money or both. And then I was able to take the kids down to Myrtle Beach for the holiday. Then I've been to Florida 3 times this year already. So when I get ready to approach somebody, I think about the fact that the freedom that it brings about, because I'm going to say something to them where the next person didn't want to say anything to them. And then if they reject me, so what? Just talk to the next person.
Right. Exactly. No, that's great. That's exceptional feedback, Rick. And, not a lot of people can do the traveling. A lot of people have to think about, if they travel, most of it's going to be in a car, and they have to monitor every single thing that they're planning on doing. That's how it was for me when I was growing up. We only took like one trip, and that was to the Wisconsin Dells. But the other thing is, if you really want to get good at talking to people, talk to yourself in the mirror. I know it sounds a little Stephen King-ish, good old Shining, Jack Nicholson. Trust me, you're not nuts. Just do that in the mirror. And that's what really helped me when I was selling Cutco knives right out of high school. Try selling knives. It's sometimes not the easiest thing, but I made it happen, and I discussed it on a previous episode, so I don't want to get too much into it. But a couple other meeting places that I would recommend is BNI. Google your local BNI. It's like a local place for business people. Your Chamber of Commerce. You could go to those. You could also do Rainmakers as well. It's just a way for you to network with other people, other entrepreneurs in your area, because sometimes it's difficult. Or you could search Meetup. Meetup.com is also a really great place for finding other like-minded entrepreneurs. So even if it's not real estate investing, you could find other like-minded business individuals on there, because that's a really great source. But let me ask you this, Rick. What is a great way for people to reach out to you? And you can feel free to sing whatever you want.
Oh, okay. Well, my cell phone number is 317-771-0704. So you can call me directly, and you can email me at rick.stellarhomes. That's STELLAR, rick.stellarhomes@gmail.com. And you can remember that Stellar is a stellar dove. You know what? I'm not singing unless you come in again. You got that harmony note with me, Jay? Doves. You ready?
I don't know. I might. I typically I'm the bass in the group. I could do the boo boop boo boop. But no, I know, Rick, you've got a show coming up here soon that we wanted to let folks know about. Why don't we talk about that real quick here?
Okay. Yeah. If you go to cmbattleground.com. Then you can get tickets to the Hustler. That's my stage play that's coming up. That's coming up in October, October the 20th. That's on a Friday night here in Indianapolis, Indiana, at the Athenaeum Theater, which is located at 401 Michigan in downtown Indianapolis. It'll be the 25th show that we're doing. We're dedicating funds towards people who are dealing with chemotherapy and people who are fighting against cancer. As I mentioned, or if I didn't mention, my little sister passed away from cancer. And that's what started me doing these shows. So it'll be our 25th program. What I do is I take Bible stories and I make them urban like they happen today. So it's not thou and thee and though. I add characters to them that are fictional characters to make it fun. But we still tell a story of what happened because people think their lives are so unique. And but, this stuff been going on for years. It ain't nothing new under the sun, baby. So whatever you going through, whatever I'm going through, somebody else has already been through it or something even worse. And to me, that keeps you like clear-headed while you're dealing with whatever your difficulties may be. So we do two things. We teach conflict resolution. I grab a bunch of young cats from out of the high-risk areas and get them on stage and teach them this is how you deal with conflict because Esau wanted to kill his brother Jacob in 27th chapter of Genesis. He wanted to kill his brother, but he let it go and went somewhere and got his head together. It didn't kill his brother, but embraced him. And I just left a funeral just this week. I even told you about with a young man that got shot several times, and his sister was so scared she didn't even want to come to the funeral. A little young lady from a house that I'm buying, she's moving out of the house, and I'm going to help her to move into another one. And so I told her, baby, don't you worry about that. I said, we coming. It's going to be some godly disciples at this place. All right, we're like love thugs. We love people into submission. So we're going to come and we're going to preach love there, and we're not going to don't you be succumb to the spirit of fear. So we train people on how not to be fearful, but how to deal with whatever's going on in your life, to face it as opposed to acting like it's not happening. And that's what I train people on stage. So we'd be glad to have anybody that wants to come out. And if a person just wants to go to the website at cmbattleground.com and just make a donation because you can't come, then you can just do that. And we're going to give some money to some folks that's going through chemotherapy and dealing with all of the challenges that come along with dealing with cancer.
No, that's amazing. Thanks for sharing that, Rick. It's cmbattleground.com. Rick, I really appreciate you being our guest today. If anybody has any questions, you can reach out to us by calling 317-900-1307 or by email, which is support@jasonluchesi.com, and that is JASONLUCCHESI.com. And thank you so much, Rick, for taking time out of your schedule to be with us on the No Flipping Excuses show. It's been a pleasure. Any last words that you want to go ahead and give a shout out to?
I just want to say God bless you, Jason, and everything that you're doing to help people way beyond making money. I love you because you love people and you love to help folks. And that's, to me, that's incredibly attractive as a man that you love people, that you care about people, man. I saw God bless you, bless your kids, bless your wife, bless your family, bless your listeners and everybody that comes into contact with you. Bless your brother Michael that works so deep, so closely with you, and everybody that's got anything to do with your company. May it be blessed in the city and the field when you wake up and when you go to sleep. And when your enemies come at you one way, I pray that they have to flee 7 ways. That's my prayer for you today, my brother. Glad to be on your show.
Thank you so much, my friend. Blessings to you and your family as well. Nothing but love over here for you, Mr. Rick. And we will be talking to you soon here, my friend. And thanks for everybody that's listening. Make sure you go ahead, subscribe to the channel. Leave us a 5-star review. You know you got to leave a 5-star review for Mr. Rick because anything less wouldn't be worth it. So make sure you go ahead and do that. Thanks so much. It's been an awesome episode. I will talk to you soon. Take care. Bye now.
Thanks for listening. For show notes and links to anything discussed on today's program, visit noflippingexcuses.com. If you'd like to call the show, dial 317-900-1307, 24/7. Leave a message with your first name and where you're calling from, and include your question, comment, or concern. Who knows? You might end up on the air with Jason Lucchesi. If you like the show, be sure to subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher. The links are posted at noflippingexcuses.com. Remember, you can close more deals now Make your own rules and design and live an amazing life without having some jerk-off boss tell you what to do. Share noflippingexcuses.com with like-minded people you know who are ready for badassery, crushing it in real estate, and enjoying freedom to whatever you like, whenever you like it.